Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trek Talk with Tech and Kirk. I'm TechMan16.
And I'm Strange Kirk.
In baseball, you may have heard the term five-tool player used to describe that rare player that excels at all five of the major physical categories: speed, throwing, fielding, hitting for average, and hitting for power. Well, today, we're lucky to be graced by a seven-tool player. In fact, he's got seven in his name. It's 7Handyman from Nona. Handy, how you doing today, man?
I'm excellent. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. I know Kirk and I both appreciate it. So let's just dive right into our standard set of questions. How did you get into Star Trek?
Well, I started when I was young, watching The Next Generation and so on and so forth. Watched everything since. And I'm just a huge sci-fi lover. I've read hundreds of books on sci-fi. I've watched probably every good movie and TV show that has anything to do with sci-fi. I'm just a sci-fi geek.
So is Star Trek your favorite sci-fi series, or do you prefer something else?
I would say Star Trek's probably my go-to. Like, still to this day, if I can't find something to watch, I'll put on Deep Space Nine episodes and I'll just sit there and watch them for hours.
So that's your favorite series, Deep Space Nine?
Not necessarily. It's just an example. But definitely The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. I would say those three would probably be my favorites. Some of the newer stuff's really cool, but it seems to lack something. I don't know. I'm sure we could get into it more, but not necessary probably.
You mean lack Star Trek?
Yeah, you know what I mean. You guys know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Of course, I'm sure you've heard some of the shows before as we were talking about. We've talked about how some of the new stuff is really, it's almost like they're trying to bring in a new audience. So they're trying to throw some flair in there that traditional Trek fans like us are not really interested in.
Right. It's just, I don't know, very PC kind of stuff where it's already PC, but
yeah.
It's already the future. It's already very accepting. I don't know. They just don't need to throw some of this stuff in, but they do. So it's okay.
So who would you say would be your favorite character then?
Honestly, Cisco.
Cisco, and why Cisco?
He's just he's just a BA. He's an awesome character. He's very, very versatile. But they kind of, show him as the family man, and he's always got that seriousness, and then he flips to the fun, and I don't know. It's just a cool character. I just like the dude. Of course, and I close second would be Picard and Data and the whole bridge crew from The Next Generation.
My question would be, because we're talking about as far as like the newer Star Trek, do you care for the original series at all?
I never really got into it too much, to be quite honest. I mean, I've obviously watched some episodes here and there, but I haven't revisited. I just one of those people that I really like newer tech, and I like sharp, clear picture and good sound on my TV shows and movies and stuff. And for me to watch really old TV shows, the horror quality.
Well, technically, Voyager, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine, it was all 4:3, 480p resolution. It's not high def.
I know that. I know. HD, but I grew up with it. So I'm 38, so that's kind of what I grew up with. Whereas some of the older stuff, I just didn't grow up with. Didn't resonate as much with me, I guess.
That makes sense. It's like you could even say for something. A lot of people talk about retro gaming, and I obviously play some games here and there, and I still have an original from when it very first came out, the Nintendo 64, and I'll plug that in sometimes, and the graphics hurt my eyes.
Yeah.
because I'm so used to newer, crisper picture, and I can play it for about 30 minutes and then I have motion sickness. So I see what you're saying.
Yeah. It's hard to go back, you know. Like I can go back, you know, a few years, but you go back much further. It's just annoying.
How did you get into Fleet Command?
Well, Fleet Command, I was just one day decided, I think I need a game on my phone because I don't have enough games already. So I just went on and was browsing through different games and just literally stumbled upon it. Downloaded it and just was hooked.
What about Fleet Command that drew you to, other than being Star Trek? I mean, did you watch the newer movies and you thought, oh, here's a game with the newer movies. Let's do that.
No, I don't think there was really any specific thought process on it. It was just, hey, I'm a Star Trek fan. This looks fun, you know. I think I remember actually, I actually looked for a Star Trek game. You know, I typed Star Trek in just to see what was out there. And I even downloaded a couple different things, and this was the one that seemed the best put together. Little did I know how buggy it was, but
Yeah.
at the time it seemed like the best one to go with something I could just open up any time and play. And then it got sucked into all the personal interactions, the alliance system and chit-chatting and making friends, and that's what really keeps me here, I think.
So when did you start playing the game?
It's been about a year, maybe a little more than a year.
Okay. And give me a bit about the history of Handyman. Like, where did you start? How did you end up in Nona? You know, what are the interactions that you developed going along the way?
Well, I actually started at, just a regular, starting alliance where you just get automatically placed almost. And from there, I leveled up, obviously a bit, and then got recruited by Rogue. And it wasn't too long after where I really started getting into the game and started gaining power pretty quickly, more than anybody else in the alliance. Is probably because I was spending money. And eventually, and I'm a very personable person, and I'm very diplomatic, so I would usually take on the role of, peacekeeper. And eventually, the admiral asked me to become admiral, so I was admiral for quite a while of Rogue. And then when Nona was started, it was starting to stand out as far as power, and kept getting hit by Nona guys. And then Inca would come along and raid me. So that's how I noticed them. And they just started winning all the alliance events, getting all the rewards. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to be in on that. So that's how I got into Nona. So that was my third alliance. So I haven't jumped around much. I've been pretty loyal. And that's pretty much it.
So you mentioned a bit ago that you thought this was the most well put together game. Little did you know how buggy it was.
Yeah.
What? What? You know what? How about this? What are your favorite bugs in this game?
My favorite bugs.
When do we take a lunch break?
Well, I would say my favorite bug was a while back when I would warp somewhere and then my ship would be stuck on a planet and I would hit locate and couldn't find it. That was my favorite.
Right on.
My ship was literally lost forever. Could not get to it.
And did you have to restart it to get it back?
No, restart didn't help. Came right back in, ship still lost. I had to contact tech support. It took hours. I was very upset because I couldn't move, couldn't do nothing. And I had to contact customer support and put in a ticket to get them to send my ship home.
And they responded?
Eventually, yes. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because I'll tell you this, my favorite bug was they were going through some sort of upgrade. This is before the Borg arc, and I was raiding somebody, and like the actions would register after the action had been completed.
Sure.
I'm raiding somebody, and the only reason that I was able to continue the raid was because I had a self timer in my head, but my ships didn't actually move anywhere.
Oh boy.
I just noticed like my resources kept increasing and his resources kept decreasing, but my ships never moved, and the game would like flicker. And then I got hit by somebody who was defending them, and the only reason I even noticed that was because I had my shield up for whatever reason. I'm like, I didn't shield. What just happened?
I think my favorite one is, and it's still prevalent to this day. It never happens when you're grinding hostiles. It never happens when you're doing anything that's not that imperative. But without fail, as soon as I go to defend somebody's base, I bring all my ships out. I go to click attack, my game crashes. And by the time I loaded it up, I've been completely boo-fooed. So I have to repair, and I have to go back, and without fail, within 5 minutes, it happens again.
That's frustrating, to say the least.
That's because Scopely doesn't want PvP. This is a farming game.
Yeah, Farmville.
That's what our friend Chef likes to call it.
Yeah, he's got a point.
Oh my Lord.
I can't argue with Chef, to be quite honest. I actually have a lot of respect for Chef. I like that guy. We've had lots of great conversations, and he's a very pleasant person. Anyway.
Yeah. And just on a side note, before we continue, I mean, I've preached this to people all the time. One of my favorite things is when somebody will say, "Well, Chef's a dick," or "Joker's a dick," and I'll go, "Well, why is he a dick?" And they're like, "Well, he hit my ships."
Oh, okay.
So because he plays a game by the way that the game mechanics allow you and doesn't follow the made-up rules that the rest of us play, he's a horrible person. And without fail, they usually stop texting in GC. And,
Well, yeah.
Or my favorite go-to is, have you ever actually talked to him? Well, no. Why would I want to talk to him? Well, I don't know. You're talking smack about somebody who you've literally never talked to. So, for some reason, people have these preconceived notions about him and his intent. And he just wants to play the game the way he wants to play it. But anyway, Tech.
Yeah. Going back to the game mechanic aspects of it. Candy, you said you were gaining power pretty quickly by spending, I would say, oodles of cash on the game.
Yes, definitely oodles. For most people, it would be.
Let me ask you this. What compelled you to spend oodles of cash? And if you don't mind sharing, how much or at least how many packs have you bought have you bought to get to where you were at before you joined Nona?
To get where I was at before Nona, I really think I probably had only spent about maybe $5,000 or maybe $5,000 to $6,000 or something like that. Obviously $100 packs. I've since spent quite a bit more.
Quite a bit more.
Yeah.
All right. So in that $5,000 to $6,000 that you said you spent, what was your main buy?
Most of my buys would have been maxing out all my ships, buying the next ship. I basically didn't play anything. If there was a shortcut to be had, I wanted it, which is spending money.
So, all right. So what level were you at before you joined Nona?
I believe I was 36 or 37.
Oh wow! So you got really up there before you joined Nona.
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm. And this was back, I don't know, 9 months ago.
Right. You're what, 45 now?
Yeah, I'm level 45 now, very close to 46. But with the whole COVID and the type of work I do, I'm not going to get too into it. But it's been tougher for me recently, so I've slowed my spending down just because,
Makes
Right.
sense.
Hmm.
So, all right. So, what's your favorite ship then?
My favorite ship, I would say the Jelly. I think the Jelly really is the best ship as far as power versus what it costs to repair. If you don't take into account what it costs to upgrade it, if you're factoring in cost to upgrade, which is probably most people, they need to consider that. I would say any of the 3-star epic ships are all amazing. I still use I have a Kelvin now. I have 4 or 5 jellies now.
4 or 5 jellies.
Yes.
Wait, wait. Hold the phone.
So wait a minute. So you're the guy that everybody gets pissed about during the events because they can't get the jellyfish blueprints, but here you are hoarding all of them.
No. I've actually gotten all those blueprints from Epic Armada chests. And here at Nona, we just run a ton of high-level Epic Armadas. And since I'm, one of the more powerful players in the Alliance, I join a lot of them. So obviously I get a lot of rewards from those because everybody needs help killing it,
Yeah, we know. Well, trust me, we know when it comes time to look for an epic and there's none to be found. We know who the culprits are.
Yeah. Although there's a few alliances out there that are doing really well. They've gaining in power quite quickly and eating up a lot of the epics now too.
I have some more on that when Tech is done with his more of the kind of the game mechanics and things like that.
Oh no, feel free to jump in. I'm all in on the $50,000 you spent in 2 days on your next ship.
No, even I draw the line there.
So we obviously we all know on this podcast we like to tackle the hard issues respectfully, of course. We all know that there's been an interesting turn of events over the past month or two, as it pertains to the alliance that you're in, even the alliance that I'm in, even the alliance that Tech is in. I think the entire server was in on this, to be honest. So, in this turn of events, and I want to get your take on it, truly, it began with a war between STFC and, I believe, MRFM.
That's correct.
And then it devolved into this gladiator-esque entire server melee to where at some point, I think even Dirt was in on it.
Yeah.
Wait. I think the proper term is virtual dick swigging.
Virtual yes.
That's a good way to put it.
And for the most part, I think even it's no secret I'm in most. Even at one point, I think we were in on it for a day or two. But we kind of talked amongst ourselves, and it was something where we were like, "Wait, what are we doing? What is going on here? We don't even know why we're doing it." And then, so at some point, there was a war declaration from Nona on STFC. And I want to pause there. I'm going to continue, but I want to pause there and ask, how did Nona get pulled into the war with the STFC and MRFM and some level 2 that just joined the server? How did Nona get pulled into this?
Well, I would say we are MRFM friendly. We like a lot of the guys there. We get along with them. We test ships on each other and raid each other and, have a good time. Very cordial. So, we typically stay out of everybody else's war, but with SFC, there's a lot of history there. There's been many run-ins with their upper management and members, lots of disagreements, just lots of strife, really. So the reason we jumped into it is because we saw MRFM, basically battling it out, and we were like, hey, we're having issues with them also. Should we use this opportunity to jump in? We talked it over a little bit, the officers, and decided to join the fight. Now, come to find out later, interestingly, because, of course we messaged, Crasham, we're thinking of doing this, I think we're going to jump in, blah, blah. Anyway, so come to find out later, Crasham tells me, hey, we were 2 seconds from ending this war, and you guys jumped in.
Right.
So
right.
We didn't know that at the time. But
Right. Okay. So, and again, just a miscommunication, no ill will or ill intent. So that's how you guys kind of got drawn in. So moving forward, we got over that. Everybody calmed down, apparently, and everybody chilled out. It was over, correct?
Yeah. I wasn't having any issues with any alliances as a whole.
Right. So moving ahead of that, and again, so just full disclosure, obviously, I don't know if you listened to that episode, but we've interviewed Key.
Okay? Yeah.
So
yeah.
We've interviewed Key. We spoke to him. I keep in contact with him, as anybody that we interview.
Truth be told, although you'd probably get the exact opposite from a lot of people, but I like Key. I think he's a good guy. I've talked with him on many occasions. When it comes to war or whatever, we both understand that it's a game. And online in-game persona may be adversarial towards each other because of the alliances we're in. But no, I have a lot of respect for the guy. We chit-chat all the time. Good guy. I like you.
So moving forward, and I just wanted to get your take on it because we received a lot of questions regarding our last shift. As you know, a lot of former STFC players have been pulled into the fold, and most, namely being Key, Q, amongst other people. And one of the big things that I noticed, and I, to be honest, obviously it wasn't shocking for me, but because I knew what was coming, but it seemed to be a very big shock to the server. I can't tell you how many PMs I got over the next week going, whoa, hey, Key is in most, Q is in most, like, whoa, what's going on here? And so I kind of want to get your take on it. What was your reaction when you saw that unfold?
I was like, oh, whoa, okay, but because I've had many conversations with Q and Key, I would like to think I actually know them pretty well. Because when we're at war, I've been the peace negotiator. So I've had many interactions with Q and Key. But I think, although they haven't said this, so this is my speculation, but I think they felt a little let down by their own alliance, maybe.
Okay.
And then on top of that, I think they just wanted to change. Sometimes you just need to mix it up. Whether that's taking a break from the game, maybe that's quitting, maybe that's changing alliance, maybe that's starting your own alliance, or changing from row to non-row, or vice versa. It's natural for people playing this game to want to change something up because it can get very Farmville.
It can, especially when you start talking about faction grinding and mining, and I think that's where a lot of us end up when we start doing base raids and stuff. Like for me, it's no secret. When I go to raid bases, I want you to come out and defend. I want to test my ships against your ships. I want to fight.
Of course.
And and nothing saddens me more when everybody bubbles and you're like, man, I get to test my new crew, or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But so anyway, getting back to that, it was interesting, and I think that you may be a little right, and I'm not going to put any words in anyone's head, or anyone's mouth as far as anybody being let down. That's only something that Q and Key and the rest of those gentle folk that we've pulled into our fold can answer, and I don't want to speak for them, but speaking to what you said about talking to people outside the game, you hit the nail on the head when you said that in-game personas, and that's something that I want to focus on for just a second. In the game, I'm going to hit your base, and if I can one-shot you, and you don't shield, and you just want to keep repairing, I'm going to keep doing it until you shield.
I agree. I do the same. I've done it many times.
My objective is now, let's just be honest, as Tech said, it's now a digital dick swinging contest, and I'm going to make you shield.
Yeah, it's kind of a pride thing, especially when you put that much work into your character, ships, your officers. You've spent the time learning the game.
Exactly.
Nobody thinks they can sit back and just say, well, you can't hurt me. Well, of course you're going to, put on your big boy pants and you're going to make them feel different, right? So
I think Tech has a few members of his alliance that have perfected the art of forced raiding. And as long as you get that attack ship and your cargo ship timed just right, you can force a load every time.
Absolutely.
It's not even that. I think some of the guys at Dark would do like 10 ships at a time before you have any kind of opportunity to shield. So you're out, like 1 million resources. Not that it matters, but like you're out 1 million times 10 million resources out the door before you shield or do anything.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot, like you say, there's a lot of pride that goes into it. Because, dude, I've poured how many man hours and money and spent and all that stuff on upgrading this ship. I'm gonna use this damn thing,
Yeah.
So
Let
anyway,
me cut back to virtual dick swinging for a sec. Urbanator left most to pursue some sort of personal vendetta against Inko.
Yes,
and
which is ridiculous. Now, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Tech. I just have to say this real quick. I have read every single PM between Urbanator and Inko. Just to throw it out there. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, why leave me hanging now?
So, from what I've heard, Urbanator has basically said that Inko is blah, blah, blah. Whatever he's telling whoever will listen. Now, this is all information Herb has to have gotten from somebody else. He is hearing gossip and regurgitating it. Because literally, Inko, when he PMs people in Discord and whatnot, he records everything. And he goes back, he doesn't delete anything, he saves everything. When they're in game, he'll take screenshots. He's very meticulous at keeping records, especially when there's some kind of, something going on, strife, right? So he's got it all. And I read through it all. And there's nothing there to make him out to be, to make Inko out to be the bad guy.
Tech, do you mind if I jump in here real quick?
Go for it.
So the one thing that I will say, and here's the thing, my interactions with Inko have been very limited. I think I PM'd him about the chef episode or something because I think Grazi had told me that he had spoken to Inko and he was interested in hearing it. And I said, hey, did you get the episode? And he said, yes, I did, thanks. So I've never really had much interaction with him. I've had a little bit of interaction in GC, which, as you know, he gets in GC once every, 38 years. And
right.
So not much interaction, don't need to. At his level, I think I just jumped to 33. I still can't even touch him, and he still can't touch me. There's no interaction there. But
right.
I will say this, and I say this, it's easy to say it without providing the proof, but I don't want to throw people under the bus. So I want to try to keep these people anonymous. However, and this is just, I don't know the context, of course. I don't know the context. I don't know what was going on at the time. But I have seen, personally, screenshots that where he has sent people, and he has sent some less than glorious things. So
Who, Inco?
yes. I don't
Oh,
know.
I've seen him too.
Right. So I'm sure, and I'm sure you have. So that being said, and this is, and Inco, if you're listening, this is obviously not attacking against you. This is just a discussion we're having. So please don't misunderstand. This, when all people see, just like the news, when all people see are the negative things that he's sending out, there's going to be this idea that, oh my God, what is this guy's a pompous ass? What's going on with this and what's going on with that? So, and again, a lot of the information that people are getting, nobody's ever going to show you the good stuff. Of course, we know that.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to show you the good stuff. They're going to show you the guy getting beaten in the street and all that crazy stuff. So, that being said, for maybe people that are listening, and Inco, if you want to come on, please come on, man. We'd love to have you. For that being said, is there some sort of context you can provide for that? It kind of, in other words, like that's not a norm or anything like that?
No, not at all. I will say this. Go can be very short and very abrupt when he perceives that you're being an idiot. If you guess that you're being a dum-dum, he's going to be very short, very abrupt, and to the point, and probably rude. And I don't blame him. I mean, as the most powerful person on the server, you can only imagine how many PMs he probably gets a day. I'd be short too sometimes if somebody's being an idiot.
Mm-hmm. No, it's understandable.
Furthermore, it's tough for some people being kind of, I guess, in the spotlight. Everybody's going to judge you a lot more harshly.
Of course.
And really not knowing where you're coming from either, because you can't relate. You're a powerful person on the server, so how do you know what happens with him? I mean, I feel sorry for Inco sometimes. He can't even PvP with anybody. What's the point? All of his ships are more powerful than even mine,
Yeah, I think at that point, we've discussed it. Plenty of people have discussed it, obviously. I think at that point, because I do enjoy the PvP aspect, and nothing makes me happier than a guy that usually stomps me when I finally get my ship tiered up, and I can go back and stomp his ships. It's just, there's something you like, yes, I finally got you. And I think once you get to that level, it's like, where's the reward?
Sure. Well, like I said before, he plays for his alliance. He plays for his buddies.
Right.
And I will say this, he takes care of his own. Inco's an extremely reasonable person. He's really good to his guys. He hears everybody out, never snap judgments. I don't really ever see him lose his temper. Occasionally, I would say you can tell he's a little upset about something and he'll be short. But other than that, I've seen him say nasty things, screenshots or whatever, but you're not seeing the other 99% of that conversation where somebody is purposely pushing somebody to the point of being that angry or that frustrated.
Everyone has a breaking point, of course.
Of course. And I guarantee you, I've probably got some shots out there in somebody else's phone going, that show me to be very poor,
So going back to...
I've cracked a few times too and gotten really angry and said bad things,
I threatened a guy the other day because, once again, thank you, Scopely. The guy hit me on a node and it looked like it was a dry hit. And what had ended up happening is I forgot to set a timer on my phone for him to swap a node, and I was 0. Well, he sent a message. Well, I didn't get it because thanks, Scopely. And I sent the guy a message. I was like, dude, I'm gonna it was like one of these low-level alliances. No offense to you guys, but you don't have that many powerful players. And I sent him a message. I said, hey man, what's up with the no warning? This is where it went sour. He goes, maybe you should check your messages, punk. Now,
Oh yeah. Well,
now he went about it the wrong way, but on the
yeah.
whole, so my reply was, "Punk, I've just scanned your entire alliance, and I have a survey ship that could wipe the floor with everyone in your alliance." So,
Right.
and then it kind of devolved. But on the whole, he ended up sending me a screenshot on Discord. We ended up getting okay and things like that. But I got ugly, and I said some things that honestly I wish I didn't say. So to that person, if you're listening, again, I apologize. This is a public apology. So, but anyway,
Kirk's a
We
dick.
we've all done it. We've all done it. You can't be judged on the one mistake you made. You know.
what was that, Tech?
I said Kirk's a dick.
Yeah, I can be, but in another life, actually, in my previous career, negotiation was actually my thing to do. So I feel like I fail myself when I allow myself to do that.
Sure.
So we made a previous episode about how there are no dick moves in this game. Well, since Kirk is a dick, every move he makes is a dick move.
Yeah, I can't even walk to the kitchen to get a cup of coffee without being a dick move. But getting back to this urban thing now, getting away from Inko, and again, Inko, if you're listening, it wasn't a personal attack on you. It was just the subject came up, and this is what we're discussing now.
Yeah, going back to virtual dick swinging.
Going back to virtual dick swinging. So we talked about urban.
Sorry to interrupt, but it may surprise everybody. But Inko is a human.
Really?
Dude,
we thought he was an alien.
No way.
I swear he's human. I've heard his voice and everything.
But have you seen him?
I have not.
Okay, so but
I could be wrong, but I'm
so getting back to this urban thing, it was a big to do there for a while. I don't know. Is he still hitting you guys? Is he still doing that?
He has reached out to somebody in our alliance. To be totally honest with you, his one-man war on us really did not affect us. As you can,
in what way? Because I have a follow-up for this.
Okay. Well, I would say anybody that's similar level with Herb wasn't affected at all, except for maybe losing a couple ships here and there in miners. So he gave those miners a quick ride home when we probably would have done the same thing in another 10 minutes, destroy it to get it home quick.
Okay.
So for most of us, I think, and we kept asking as the Commodores and the leadership here, we kept asking the guys like, hey, all the time we're asking our guys, hey, what do you think about this? How's it affecting you? What do you want us to do? And 9% of the time, everybody says, nope, not a big deal. It's annoying, but I'm with it. So, all of our wars we've had or, personal grudges, most of the guys aren't put out too much.
Yeah, understand. Understand.
There are a few that get hit hard, because we have a lot of, level 30, lower 30 players. We have quite a few of them. So we're not all whales,
I understand. So the only thing, and I understand that as far as the game aspect not affecting, it doesn't affect much. And that's what I tell my guys or any guys that are playing. I'll say, look, when you go and do these wars thing, the worst that can happen is they dry hit your ships, and it's really not that big of a deal.
No.
And the thing is, especially if you have a nice stockpile of raw materials, you really don't even need to mine for a couple weeks anyway. So that being said, I understand that aspect. My next thing is, and these are things, and some of these have been made public on several Discords. The nasty messages, and again, let me qualify this by saying you only see the nasty things. So again,
sure.
no personal attack on anybody, but I've seen some messages from some of your guys that I don't think I've ever said to people in a street fight that they have sent to Herb.
I know exactly who you're talking about, and he knows who he is too. All I can tell you about that particular one is he has a temper and he says the wrong thing at the wrong time. But and also he has some personal. There's no excuse for what he said, but he's had some personal things going on in his life that are extremely tragic, like earth-shattering tragic.
Right.
Imagine the worst thing, and that's what happened to him. He's going through a really tough time. he's already snapped. So he didn't snap in that moment, talking bad stuff to Herb, but he's already snapped at that point. And all I can say is, he lost his stuff, and he's using the game to try and get away from real life and try and chill out. And then he's got somebody like Herb who doesn't have any problem with. This is what Urbanator has said. He has no problem with our entire alliance. He only has a problem with Inko. That's it. So his solution to all this is to hit everybody. And of course, the easier the target, the better in his eyes. He's never, I honestly, I don't think he's ever gone after, really anybody's warships or bases per se. He goes after the easy kill. And I get that. I would probably do the same thing in his boat. But yeah, and that message you're talking about is from one person. And yes, he has a temper and he was going through a really tough time. We've talked to him. Hopefully he never does it again. But yeah, it happens. We're all human. And like I said before, we're kind of under more of a microscope because we're the number one alliance. It's just kind of what it is.
Well, and I can appreciate that. I mean, even the myself and Tech, we're in top 5, and you do get a lot more attention because people
Absolutely.
try to be so. I don't know if it's and again I don't. Again, you used the word the operative word earlier was speculation, but I don't know if it's a jealousy thing or if it's you feel like because your ship's smaller than that ship, you feel like you're not whatever. Anyway, I don't want to get into that, but. I do know, being in obviously, in most is we are, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're number 2. We're right up under you guys. But and of course, there's a huge disparity there as far as the gap is concerned. But even being in that, anything that a lot of things that I've seen other alliances do, nobody worries about. But it seems like if you're in the bigger alliance you're in, any little misstep, it seems like it's just blown out of proportion.
It is. But that's how it is in life. I mean, can you expect anybody in the White House, you know what I mean? Capital of the United States, the White House, it's like basically the Commodores and Admiral Unknown are like the White House of the server,
Right.
We have the most powerful stuff, so everybody's looking at what we're doing just out of curiosity.
Right. Yeah, and that makes
ships.
sense.
They want to know what our officer builds are. I did the same thing. I asked people the same questions. Oh, anyway.
So, now to get away from the negative stuff, I just wanted to touch on that. Have you ever had an interaction with Urbanator? Do you speak to him at all? Do you?
Yes, I do. Until he started this vendetta, I did on occasion. Yeah, I've had lots of conversations with him. What were you going to ask? Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. I just want to know if you had any interactions with him, most positive. And I think that
I've had negative too.
Yeah, of course. I've had negative interactions with. I had a negative interaction with one of you guys players the other day, and it wasn't so much negative, but it was kind of. I was like, wow, okay. And again, you even said it yourself. You don't know what people are going through. They might be in the middle of sitting in a waiting room, waiting to see if their mother's going to live through a heart transplant or something. You don't know.
Yeah,
and I think
you have to keep all that in mind. You don't know where the state of mind is at. I've had people tell. I know of people that were like ready to kill themselves, and people in my alliance have helped them through that because they cared.
Right, and again, you even said it earlier. I said it. I was talking to Tech earlier today on the phone, and I even mentioned it. If it weren't for the social aspect of this game, I would have quit a long time ago.
Right.
I would have quit a long time ago. So, moving into something a little bit less sad and angry. What, as far as strategies go, how much of a difference does your strategy have to be if you try to be more of a free-to-play player?
Well, your strategy needs to be very diligent, and you need to be an assembly line. You need to do the same thing every time. You need to do everything in your power to get the resources you need, such as grinding Borg space so that you can use the Borg thingies to buy, to refine into resources you can use in your faction stores, and et cetera, et cetera. You need to go find your messenger ships, and you need to destroy those and collect all of them. So there's all these different avenues and ways you can get the resources to buy the ships and whatnot. And you really just got to be very diligent in doing everything every single day, because it adds up, and it adds up pretty quick, you know.
So, and as far as some people, like I'm sure you have all the epic ships, and
I do, yeah.
Some other people do. For people who try to lean more towards free to play, is having all three of those a realistic goal, or because they compete so much for resources? Even the Burrell that I have is 2,000 uncommon gas to upgrade one thing, and unless you're going to spend $400 or $500 in a day just to upgrade one component, is it worth trying to get all of these different ships, or kind of focus on a more linear goal?
I would say focus more linear, and then you naturally will fill in later. So imagine you have that epic ship, that one. Let's say you have the Enterprise and you've maxed it out. Now, when you go to armadas with all your other alliance buddies, and you're one of the most powerful ships in there, you're going to get into every single armada, and you're going to get a lot more points because it's based on damage, right? How much points you receive. So now you're going to be able to open more chests, and you're going to be able to get a lot better loot. The higher level you are, the better loot you get, et cetera, et cetera. So as you level up, you're going to naturally fill in anyways, because now you're grinding in areas because you have this powerful ship, and you're grinding in areas, and you're going to have blueprints coming out of your ears for anything under an epic 3-star ship. All those ships that people are working so hard to buy, you're going to have so many blueprints, ridiculous. I can build 10 of everything right now. It's a joke.
So let me kind of backtrack a little bit here. Let's assume you're going to play over. You're going to start a new account. You're going to play free to play.
Sure.
What would be the pitfalls that you'd want to tell people to avoid as you level from your teens to your 20s?
Be very careful about wasting resources on a ship you're not going to use in 2 weeks.
Like, for example?
I don't think the rare ships, 3-star rare ships, are worth getting at all. I think you should get the uncommon and then push through to the epic. And get one epic 3-star ship and focus on it. You know, be very goal oriented, and research is huge. Research. Raid. Get as much lithium as you can in raiding, and do your research, because you can take that epic ship. I mean, one person's epic ship at 3 mil power and mine at 3 mil power, I'm going to run circles around them all day long because research done. You know?
So you're saying that the rare ships like the Burrell and the so forth, that those aren't really worth worrying about. You should just push from the level 28 ship and then just push straight up to the epic ship.
Yeah, I mean, but you're only looking at what, level 28 to 32, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, you get the rare one at 32.
Right. Okay. The epic, epic. It goes
Epic's at 34.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So 28, 32, 34. It's just a couple more levels. And if it were me, I would recommend to just push through. But I really strongly believe that this game isn't meant to be free to play. Now,
no.
I understand that, even if you only spent $100 a month, you're going to get a lot for your $100, really. $200 a month. I really feel that that's enough being a normal player. I would consider a normal player to be somebody that spends a couple $100 a month on it. A free to play, I really feel, is an anomaly. I don't think there's many people out there that are completely free to play.
So, on a side note, we have a guest. There is a player from MRFM who is level 32, has a Burrell, and is completely free to play.
Never spent a dime.
Never spent a dime. I was just as surprised as you were. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue, Tech.
That's impressive. How long has he been playing? Do you know?
I've been about the same time as I did. I've been playing about a year, and he's just I guess just been doing his dailies, doing everything he can, hoarding resources. Because how I found out was he was out killing level 19 ships with a Taurus, and I see that he's level 32, and I sent him a message, and I said, "Hello, excuse me, but what the fuck are you doing?" and he said, "Well, I'm trying to grind this up so that I can scrap it and get the resources." And I said, "Oh, okay, I understand that, but at our levels, that takes a long time, and you kind of should be, I'm thinking like I normally am working on my third, because right now I'm trying to lock my third faction. I'm like, how do you have the time to do? You just sit at home?" And so what got me was he said, "Well, yeah, I need some common." And I was like, "Who needs common? You have Latinum."
Right.
Who needs that?
Well, you don't have Latinum if you never buy any packs.
Exactly. He says, "Well, I ran out building the ship." And
you have no speed ups, no Latinum.
Yeah. And so I said, "Well, have you, I said, do you still have, the pack or this, that, and the other?" He goes, "No, I don't even know how you buy stuff on here. I've never bought anything."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Well, you're freaking, are you serious?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm serious." It's like, oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Okay, so when you're talking about those ships, the level 28 ships, are those the best bang for your buck as far as the faction ships and the lower levels?
I think so, yeah. But it depends on how quickly you're leveling. So if you're truly free to play, then I don't think you can really afford to skip any entirely. But I would limit heavily how much I put into it. So when you start getting about mid-tier, like if the ship goes up to tier 9, maybe stop around 5. Because if you take if you go scrap that ship, you're not going to get all those resources out. We all know that.
Yeah, right.
You get a quarter.
You get something back, but not near what you put into it. So
yeah, for the resources, you get a quarter of your dead lithium and a quarter of your tritanium back, which you get.
Right.
And for the faction ships, you don't even get G3 anymore. It's all G4.
Right. Exactly. You scrap your 2-star ships to get G3.
Right. So I can understand why people that are free to play would take a bunch of 2-star ships and scrap them for 3-star mats. That's another part of the game that they've added that's neat. Gives people another avenue to level. And there's many of them. There's many ways to play for free. In fact, when COVID began, I stopped spending money for about 2 months. I grinded out enough materials to buy myself a Hydra without spending a nickel. And I got about half of what I needed to buy the Kelvin.
Wow.
And that's just but of course I have the jelly and I'm way up in deep space, and I'm, the higher level you get, the more bonuses you get when you turn things in, like messages from, messenger ships, faction messenger ships. And,
right.
basically you just get more mats,
Of course.
But it's possible. I mean, you could play the entire game without spending. You really could. I thought in the beginning that, there's no way you can get to 40s without spending money, but I see it. You can. It would just take you years,
Yeah, years.
It would.
Yeah, that's
sure.
Here's what I learned so far, because I'm at level 26 now, going on 27,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't bought any pack in a long time. And I realized that if you just like really stretch out your time, you'll get all the resources that you need from your dailies and from the daily events that happen.
Right.
And if you minimize the amount of times you have to repair your ships and use ships that don't cost a lot to repair to do all your work.
Boom. That right there is key. Even if you have a stronger ship, sometimes it is important to grind with something not as strong to save on repair.
My base just got hit, so hold on a sec. Let me just shield up.
Where you at? I'll go blow them up. Can you imagine that uproar? Like, Most is allied with Dark? What the fuck? Oh, I do. So here's a side
Dark
story.
has been raiding like crazy lately. I see a lot of your guys with a lot of mats.
So
Dark? The most.
Dark.
Yeah, Dark. Yeah, our top guys.
That's their thing.
Though.
Yeah.
That's their thing, though. So, but on a side note, what I'll do is like sometimes when I'm just sitting there like grinding hostiles or just doing whatever, every now and then, or like the other day, somebody posted in GC from like this really low person alliance was like, the guy was a free to play player and he like was begging on GC. He was like, "Can someone please help me? Like, I don't have any shields. Like, I'm out of shields. This guy's one shot in my base. Like, I've begged him to stop. He won't stop. Can someone please help me?" And I was like, "I'll help you, buddy." So I went out there. And I took on an entire 20-person alliance with just my ships, but they were all like real low level, like 26, 27. And I ported my base next to this guy, and I defended him for like 20 minutes, and they finally gave up. And he was like, "I don't know what the fuck to do." He's like a casual player. He's not really like into it like we are. And he said, "I don't have any shields. What do I do?" I said, "Hey, how many relocation tokens do you have?" And he goes, "Oh, dude, I got like 150. I was like, "Just move to a different fucking system." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I could do that." But I do shit like that all the time. I defend other alliances all the time just because. I mean, somebody will be like, "Are you allies with him?" No. Then why are you defending him?
Because I felt like it.
Because I feel like it, and I can blow all your ships up. So
yeah.
I mean,
Because I put more time into the game than you. That's why. More time or more money. One of the two. They're both resources. You're gonna either put one or the two or both.
You should just respond PvP, bitch.
Yeah, like welcome to the Thunderdome, motherfucker. Anyway, all right, Tech, you want to go ahead and take it into ROE? Go ahead.
Yeah. Handy.
Yes.
You heard a little spiel about ROE?
I did.
What'd you think?
Well, it's a complicated subject, but I have to agree with pretty much everything you guys said. I mean, the ROE is silly. I'm reluctant to talk about ROE much because, to be quite honest, guys, whether I was in an ROE alliance or not, there's not a whole lot anybody could do to me. Even my miners, I have so many resources stored away. I could not mine for probably 6 months and still turn stuff in every day. You know what I mean? So,
well, what I'm trying to get at is we have a certain set of rules and a certain set of way to engage people. And
I think it needs to be loosened up. It's a PvP game. I agree with you that a lot of these rules are very silly. There's inconsistencies. When you, like, for example, I know you were saying, I remember when you were talking about like a BB, Botany Bay, who are you to tell me where I can mine and where I can't? And I agree with that. Now, on the flip side of that, if there's a Botany Bay on a 3-star node and I'm 7 levels ahead of you and I really need the mats or something, and you're in a Botany Bay, I would just probably wait around and, and just hit you. I don't know. Give you the chance to move. I don't know. To give you a little backstory, I'm on the fence about row. As I go on in this game, I've contemplated dropping it entirely and just going to no loot, don't shoot kind of motto. Because aside from just hitting people willy-nilly, that's probably the best way to go in the game, really. I mean, that's how the game was designed, is to be PvP, to hit people when you want. And I can see the appeal.
Here's kind of my thing, is that I think Kirk and I both agree, or I think everybody agrees, that you get all your materials and all your resources. The majority of what you get in this is through events and through daily events.
Right.
And so if people hog certain resources, either for their alliance or just, because the rules allow them to, that's where I think rules of engagement should really apply in terms of how you can use provocative force. So
Right.
in any other situation, right, we want to call this a PvP game, right? So in any other
but
situation, yeah, it's not. It's not. We want to. And so my deal would be is like, if you're using a warship, it's a warship.
yeah,
You fight with it, right?
right.
But it's got to be a little more tailored to the events, like the mining events, the hostile events, the grinding events, whatever, right? So like,
Mhm.
we want people to grow, we want people to participate because you want to feed
Of
on them.
course.
I want to feed on them, right?
Right.
But in any non-event situation, it's just like, all right, let's just blow shit up.
Great. I mean, that's fine. I mean, if people want to play like that, that's great. They should be in a non-row alliance and go do their thing. But I will say this: there are some situations where I really want to just hit people, whether they have resources or not. For example, they're parked on a double Latinum node during an event. Now, this is the key part. During an event, I think it should be okay to hit those ships because they're literally parked on a double Latinum node, one of the most desirable nodes there is.
Wait, with an envoy or a horizon, or
Doesn't matter either.
you mean with a non-devore, effectively?
Effectively. But even if they didn't have a Devore and they had a crew that was obviously designed to mine quickly, I would probably be a little more okay with that. But I've seen people with literally a PvP crew on a mining ship and they've got it parked on a double lat node for hours. Hours in the middle of an event. Now, I get that I don't know what they're doing. The only thing I can think of is they're trying to keep resources away from the other alliances. But under the current row, I can't clear that person. And they're never going to be OPL, and they're never going to be at 0. So how are you supposed to get rid of somebody like that? They're obviously not mining to actually get the materials. I mean, it's obvious. They're using a slow ship that mines, and also have no crew on there that gives them any bonuses to mining Latinum. So I just, their goal is clear to me. Their slow part.
Well, that's when you call Chef and Joker and be like, "Hey, dude,
Yeah, that's true.
can you kick him off, please? Because we need the stuff."
But at the same time, how's that any different than just kicking him off yourself?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of Right. But there's definitely a lot of times where there have been times where I've had some of those rare last cells, and I want to mine Latinum just to mine Latinum so that I can like upgrade my Devore and get the parts. And you got people that are preloading their Horizons or whatever on
For
Tuesday,
days.
and it's like, here's the thing, man. Like, are you just playing this game for Latinum Rush Monday?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, what's the deal? And it's very frustrating because it's a thing. A lot of people are like, well, who mines Latinum just to get it? I do. That's how I upgrade my Devore so that I can mine faster during the events when I get the nodes legitimately.
Right.
And so it does
Kirk,
get
you're
frustrating.
such an idealist.
I start mining 30 minutes before the event starts.
If you can find a freaking node, well, I guess you can.
Yeah, I can. But and I understand that, people can't find nodes and it, but it's a limited resource game. But that's where it comes full circle back to it's supposed to be limited resource.
It's supposed to be for PvP.
So, yeah, I mean, we should be able to get some of the. Here's my kind of view on it: is Row's great if there's no event going on. As soon as there's an event, I really feel that it should be dropped in certain areas. Like I don't think people should be getting dry hit left and right because that's discouraging and upsetting. But I really do believe there are certain situations where you should be able to hit the person.
I think you guys are getting that backwards. Row should be enforced in certain situations. The literal definition is the rules. It's the rules of engagement in which provocative force is allowed, not the other way around. You know what I mean? So like, the situation is I don't hit the person. That's not row. It is I do hit the person. I have probable cause to hit the person. That's row. That's RP.
Right.
Yeah, I could see it both ways though. Therefore, it's usually a free for all. But when an event happens, you're protected, or it's usually protected. But when an event happens, now we have a need for attacking people because there's an alliance event, and I want to beat this alliance. I want to get more points. I want to get the alliance credits.
Right. And I mean, there's parallels to real life in this game. The strong do better. The more powerful, the people with the more money, they obviously are getting the resources. I mean, that's how it works, is supposed to work in the game. That's how it works in real life. So, I don't know. Interesting to talk about either way. I'm game with playing however my alliance as a whole wants to play.
Absolutely.
All there is to it. And I will defend those rules even if I don't agree with them. Completely. And some other things like the Borg space, no Borg space. I would say no hitting in the Latinum Borg space. I think everything else should be open.
I think you should be able to hit OPL and Borg space too.
I agree. Just like Swarm, I understand that there's tokens to get there, but I mean, come on, they give 2 of them a day. Who needs more than that? Nobody.
Well,
Right.
Sometimes I get 4 because I have 2 of them.
What do you mean?
So I've noticed that there are some days because I don't know what the deal is, but I have 2 Vidars, and my counter will say, I'll collect my cells, and then it'll give me the countdown for 22 hours or whatever it is. But then in the middle of the day, I look again, and I'm able to get 4 a day. It doesn't happen every day. I haven't been able to figure out a reason. That didn't start.
Sounds more like a bug.
Scopely, don't listen to this.
Right.
This is the one bug we don't need you to fix.
Actually, so to
Fair
your
enough.
point,
But that'll be the bug they do fix.
it's funny because you know how you're supposed to only get like 8 cells, like your maximum is 8.
Yeah. Well, you can get up to
You can get 9.
you can get as many as you want if you just save them and you keep getting.
No, you can't. You can't. The maximum you can get is 9 because if you have 7, during the day you'll get 2, and then for whatever reason, to Kirk's point, like 4 hours later, it says, okay, you don't have any more lat cells. Collect your 100 inert nanoprobes.
Right.
So like, I collect 100 inert nanoprobes like every day because I only go to Borg space once a day. There's
Sure.
no need to go to Borg space like 5 times a day. I mean, unless you're absolutely desperate for nanoprobes.
Well, I do, but that's because I also grind in the 33 system, and I just stockpile them, so I don't have to do it. I just pick a day, like once a week, and I just go stockpile, so I can keep collecting them all week, and I don't have to farm them.
Right. Now, I've actually gotten, I think, 11 entry tokens because I had 9. And then I did the 6-day survey poll, the special token, and I got 2 entry tokens. And then I had 11. So
Okay. Right.
you can get more, but the free ones you can only have up to 9. But you can get more through other means.
All right. Tech, do you is that pretty much it?
I'm good. Handy.
Yes.
You got the last word. What do you want to say about yourself, about your alliance, about your gameplay? Your final thoughts, if you will.
I'll say this. I would say a good 95% of the people in Nona truly want to help everybody. Anytime somebody PMs me, messages me, if I have the time, I'll have a conversation with them. I mean, I've hit people's bases before, and they'll ask me, "Hey, can you hit me again?" Sure, or whatever. If you take the time to talk to people, whether it's talking to us or anybody else, if you treat everybody like a human being instead of like an adversary, you'll go a lot further. Making friends is by far the best way to play this game because there's so much useful information out there. For example, shout out to Scarlet Fire. Amazing guy. Hopefully you have him on soon. He helps people constantly. He gets PMs all day long because he's super nice to everybody and helps everybody out. And we have a lot of people like that in our alliance. And we're really here just to not cause drama and play the game, have fun. We're aggressive, but we just want to have fun. And we're here to help. If anybody has questions, let me know.
Well, that's I think that was very well said. The one thing that I want to remind people, and I'll do this, remind everyone that we're all people, human beings, and playing behind a screen name. So remember that the way someone plays a game is not how they are. And to the point that Handy was talking about here, a conversation, a simple, kind word goes a long way. I've developed great relationships from people that I was rating or that were rating me, and I still talk to them this day all the time. Hey, man, what's up? I see you mining over there. Can I get that node when you're done? Yeah, man, I'll be 15 minutes. And you'd be amazed at how that can accelerate your gameplay. I get when I warp into a system to look for a node, without fail, at least once every 3 days when I do it, someone will message me that I've had a positive interaction with and say, hey, man, nobody in my alliance wants this node. I'll be done in 10 minutes. You grab this one? Hey, man, thank you. And so that completely eliminates a possibility of some sort of animosity from me taking somebody else's node when they're
Absolutely.
0 or OPL. So remember that goes a long way. And you also need to take that into real life. Now, my final point is going to be something that we covered earlier, that remember, no matter what someone says to you, with very few exceptions, remember that we're all, again, human beings, and that everyone has something going on in life. You may be sitting in your living room collecting a paycheck, even though you're not working because you have a job that, maybe you work for the government, maybe you work for a corporation where you basically work from home, and you're just sitting at home and you're doing all this stuff. The other person you're playing with, as stated earlier, may have lost their job because of this corona situation. They may have lost their family because their wife has divorced them or their husbands have divorced them. They may be losing a family member. This game may be their only stable platform in their life that they feel like they can control. So try to keep that in mind when you're talking to people. If they seem a little short, be patient. If they're still short with you, hit their base and take all their stuff when they go to sleep.
Yeah. I want to add to that. And if somebody's being really mean through PM, just stop and say, hey, man, I just want to ask you, is everything all right? Do you want to talk about something? You okay? Let's hop on Discord. I can chat with you. Just take 5 minutes out of your day. We're all just people. We're all just some fun.
One thing that one of our guests, Key, said, and I took it to heart, and I know a lot of other people did. You'd be amazed at what you can accomplish over a voice call as opposed to a text.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You would truly be amazed. But that's it for me, Tech.
Yeah, I'll add in the game. It's okay to virtually swing your dick.
Definitely okay. I make it a point to do it once a day.
On that funny note, this has been Trek Talk. Thanks for listening. I'm TechMan16.
And I'm lost.
We'll see you guys next time.